Okay, sorry for the background noise, but let's just get into it. Cleveland is in talks with Minnesota apparently to trade Odell Beckham for a couple of bullshit picks, but do I think this is a good move for Cleveland? I think Cleveland has put themselves in a position that I don't think any one move is going to help them. I think they need to make a multitude of different transactions and player movements and stuff like that in order to right the ship, so to speak. First off, the first domino that needed to fall was they needed a head coach that could get the job done. You needed to bring somebody in with some coaching experience. You need to bring somebody in that you could trust to kind of rein in Baker Mayfield, and you need somebody that could put the product on the field and actually make it something that the fans want to come see. Hopefully they got it with the coach that they signed. Only time will tell. Is this a good move for Odell Beckham? To go to Minnesota, I don't know. Because I was high on, I'm not even going to say I was high. I didn't think Kirk Cousins was as bad as people said he was. And I still don't believe he's as bad as people says he is. But I think he has a ceiling. And I thought that maybe his ceiling was being handicapped by his time in Washington. I still think that his ceiling is somewhat handicapped, but I don't think he's as good as I would have wanted him to be, I guess. But like he's not going to be a Pro Bowler. I done came to terms with the fact that he may never be a Pro Bowl quarterback. But if he gets Odell Beckham, it could be a positive for him. But is this a positive for Odell Beckham? I'm not sure. Does he want to go to Minnesota? Now there were people that said that he didn't want to go to Cleveland, and I believe no. Who wants to go to Cleveland? Cleveland has been a mess for the last 30 years. Who wants to go there? Do I think he wants to go to Minnesota? I mean, this is when you would hope that honesty, a little bit of transparency from players, because it's easy to tweet some shit, but when it comes time to face to face, confront whatever it is that you tend to be holding on to, they tend to just back off of it. But they have no problem going to Twitter and tweeting some subliminal shit. So that's where I have a problem with. Like, if you want to be clandestine and you don't want to put your feelings out there for people to see, don't do it on Twitter. Don't do it on Instagram. Just don't do it. But I guess that's just the world we live in now. But I don't know if he wants to go to Cleveland. I don't know if he wants to go to Minnesota. I would say Minnesota is a better situation than Cleveland. I think that they have a more competent front office in Minnesota than in Cleveland. I'm pretty sure at least 30 NFL franchises have a far more competent front office than Cleveland. So, but I don't know. Only time will tell, man. With them trading away Stephon Diggs, which I thought was a surprising move. I really, but to trade Stephon Diggs and get Odell Beckham is a massive upgrade. But I'm still baffled by them trading away Stephon Diggs. But it is what it is. Let's just get to it.
Well, according to a report, the Browns and Minnesota are in talks to send OBJ to the Vikings in exchange for a second and fifth round pick next year. Shannon, in your opinion, how much would it hurt Baker Mayfield to lose Odell Beckham Jr.?
I think Baker Mayfield has put himself in such a position that it's going to take a lot of humbling. Last year was a humbling experience. It had to be for Baker. If it wasn't, Cleveland's in trouble. Last year, I would hope as a Cleveland fan, if I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, as a person invested in the Browns, I would hope Baker was humbled after last season. Because he was raked through the coals. I mean, I've never seen a group of people like we saw last year before the season even started, with the expectations of Cleveland pretty much making it to the Super Bowl, by the halfway point of the season, they completely fell off the bandwagon. Like, everybody fell off. I've never seen it happen so fast. Like, it happened so quick. And I think I would hope that this was a humbling experience for Baker, because I believe Baker has some, I don't know, I feel like he has a God complex. Like it feels like there's some narcissistic stuff there with him, because I think he believes that his position on the team, and this could be the front office doing, but he believes his position on the team is a lot higher. He has a lot more juice than I believe that he actually does. And this is what happens when you allow players to run your franchise. You know, example, LeBron James. It usually doesn't work out in the end, but let's get to the video.
Well, I don't think it'll help him, because I don't think it'll hurt him, but because I don't think it helped him. Skip, look, let's be real. Baker Mayfield regressed last year. Now, I don't know if he started to smell himself, started to think he was better than he actually was, started reading his press clippings. But what we started to see, Skip, is that when someone...
Shannon, if you don't know, bro, all these players do that. This is why talking them up like they're the greatest thing ever is always a dangerous thing to do. This is what happened to LeBron James. This is what happened to Kobe Bryant. This is what happens to all the young athletes who people praise as this deity figure in sports. They start to smell themselves. Look at Ben Simmons. People keep talking about how great Ben Simmons is and how he's a step away from being a superstar and all this other shit. Like, I mean, the kid will never progress. He will never improve, man, because he thinks that he's already there. He believes he's already there. Joel Embiid, man. I mean, this is what happens when you praise these young kids, man. I've been saying this for a long time, and it's very true. And we keep seeing evidence of it being true. That when you heap praises on young people, especially when they're as self-involved as these young athletes are, they're reading every article. They're noticing every notification. They're looking at every tweet that they're mentioned in. They're watching every news segment. They're watching everything. They're listening to anything that has their name attached to it. They're listening to it. And when you heap praise on them, because people were overwhelmingly positive about Cleveland last year. And I'm sitting here like, bro, they haven't even played anything yet. And everybody's already penciling them in for the Super Bowl. But, you know, that's just my 2 cents.
Would criticize Baker Mayfield, he always had a response. Instead of answering that with his play on the field, he felt it would be cool to tweet something or respond in an open forum.
And you know who I blame for that? The media. The media is to blame for that. Because the media are such attention whores. The players are the attention whores. The media are the ones that give the attention to to grab their story and fucking, you know, so they can have something to write about. I mean, to be honest, man, I'm not even surprised, man. Like, it's not something to be surprised about, because the media has been this way forever. And, you know, this is kind of why I stopped watching the news a long time ago. Like, it's almost like whorish behavior where, you know, you're doing anything you can for the story. And I think Baker, along with a lot of other young players, they fall victim to that, man. They fall victim to that. And Baker is a very expressive kid, man. You could just tell, like, he loves to talk. He loves to talk. And I think that did him in. Because he didn't realize the work that goes into being successful in the NFL. Because to be successful in the NFL, it takes more than talent. And any veteran can tell you that. It's the work. This is why, and I keep going back to New England, but this is exactly why New England has run roughshod over the NFL for the last 20 years, is because they know the work it takes. Other people don't. They think all you need is the talent to be able to compete, and that's not the case. This is why you see a lot of teams have 1 year, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years of success, and then they disappear. This is why.
Me personally, I don't think Odell ever wanted to be there. So So that has a lot to do with it, Skip. You know, being somewhere that you want to be. It doesn't matter, you know, yeah, it's football. We get that. But to go from New York City, the bright lights, the Big Apple, to Cleveland, Ohio, Skip, come on now. You worked in a lot of locales. You've been in Chicago, and you worked in Dallas, and you worked in I think Florida, the Miami paper. So you've been to some big cities, and then you've had to travel and go to smaller cities. Okay, Odell is in Paris at fashion shows. Odell is travels with Drake, and all of a sudden he's like, man, I'm stuck here for 8 months in Cleveland. He didn't want to be there. I'm not saying he didn't play hard, because I believe Odell did play hard. And maybe he had a nagging injury. But I believe Odell would be better served if he went somewhere else. Now, I'm not saying that, Skip, Minnesota. I like Minnesota, Jenny, so I don't want you to think I'm taking a shot at Minnesota. But I believe he would be better served in Minnesota with Zimmer and Kirk Cousins than being in Cleveland with Baker Mayfield and that new head coach.
See, if this is about, and this is what Odell has to figure out for himself. If this is about building up a network, if this is about, you know, grabbing connections, you know, so that way you can have off the field ventures at some point. If this is about building up a brand, if this is about the future after football, then I get why he would want to be in a big market. I get why he would want to be in a LA or a New York or something like that. But if this is about winning, bro, and players don't normally understand this until later in their career. And by that point, unless you're in a situation or you have the fortune to go to a situation that's in position to win, this is why a lot of great players miss out on championships. Example, Adrian Peterson. Example, LaDainian Tomlinson. This is why sometimes great players go without winning titles, because they're chasing something. They're chasing something for a majority of their career that has nothing to do with winning. And at a certain point, at a certain age, players start to realize, you know, I wasted a lot of time doing this, doing that. I mean, is this what I want my legacy to be about? Money or whatever? Or do I want to win? And I'm not saying every player is that way, but you do have some players that at the age of 31, 32, 33, whenever their contract is up in their 30s and they're looking for that final destination, they're always looking for a place with a chance to win. You know, and I think Brady was fortunate. He was a young guy. People didn't look at him as incredibly talented, but he had the drive. He had the work ethic to get the job done. And he was fortunate enough to be in a situation that was conducive for his kind of attitude, his kind of personality, that kind of bolstered his play, that kind of improved the situation around him. And, you know, it led to wins. I mean, not everybody is that fortunate to end up on a team like Kansas City with Andy Reid and the talent that they have out there. Not many people are very fortunate, but I mean, Odell, if he doesn't understand that by now, he has to figure out, if you want your career to be about the money, that's fine. If you want it to be about building up a network, that's fine. If you want it to be about winning, you have to figure these things out. And sometimes it takes time and wisdom for players to figure this stuff out.
Skip, he needs a change of pace. He didn't want to go to Cleveland. He doesn't like being in Cleveland, no matter what he says. He doesn't like being in Cleveland. And Baker Mayfield took a step back. He did 117 progressive commercials or whoever he does insurance for, and that's too many. Every time someone says something.
Look, we got to stop blaming Baker Mayfield. And I get caught up in doing that too. We got to stop blaming Baker Mayfield for doing all those commercials. Because I'm pretty sure if a bunch of people would have came up to Shannon Sharp while he was in the midst of his career and said, listen, Shannon, we want you to do all these commercials for this crazy amount of money, Shannon would have did it. Even if the Broncos weren't winning, Shannon would have did it. The money is money, man. Endorsements are endorsements. I mean, it is what it is. We got to stop castigating them for that. Look at Blake Griffin. We don't talk about Blake Griffin that way. Blake Griffin was supposed to be this this phenomenal athlete, man. He was supposed to be the guy that was supposed to, I don't know, man, I guess redefine the power forward position. Like they were talking about this kid like he was the next one up. How they do most first round picks, but I mean number one picks, but they were talking about him like he was, like how they talked about Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons is how they talked about Blake Griffin. And before Blake ever won anything, I mean, he was doing Kia commercials. I mean, it is what it is, man. Like, the money is the money. But if that's what it's about, that's what it's about. There's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong with it is if you're chasing the money, but you're complaining if you're not winning.
That he doesn't like or criticize him in any way. He's on Twitter or he's publicly saying something at a press conference. Go play football. The best way to shut critics up is with play on the field, not with tweets and not with little innuendos at your press conference.
Okay, I hear most of what you just said, but I'm going to take it one more step. I say that trading Odell would be the best thing that could happen to Baker Mayfield because the reason he regressed was Odell. And the reason he regressed was he loves Odell to a fault. He loves hanging with him off the field. He loves partying with Odell. He loves just being around.
I hate it when they do that. Odell was quiet last year. We didn't see no over-the-top bullshit. The only thing that came close to him being attention grabby was wearing the watch on the field, first game of the season. That's what people were talking. And at that point when it happened, you can just tell anything Odell did, people were going to grab it and they were going to be, oh my God, did you see Odell? He did this, he did that. And they were going to use that as a reason why the Cleveland Browns lost. So thankfully for him, he was able to curb the bullshit and he was able to sidestep it. But people are still not wanting to let that go. People are still willing to just blame him because he's like these receivers. They made it easy for people to blame him. Like T.O., Randy Moss. They make it easy for people to blame them for the reason why teams failed, man. But Odell is not the reason why Baker failed because he didn't realize how much. This is not college, and this is what I keep saying. This is not college, and a lot of times these players, when they experience success in the NFL, they think it's like college. All you got to do is get back out there with the most talent, and you're going to beat everybody. And that's not the case. Look at Leonard Fournette like 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, his rookie year, where he rushed for 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns, and he looked pretty damn good. He said, "This is too easy. It's too easy to play in this league." That's what he said. And in the second year, that's when they got to the AFC Championship game. And then after that, Leonard Fournette has been off the mat. Now, he had spurts last year, but I guess it's not easy anymore. Like at Baker Mayfield. He thought it was going to be easy. They have the most talented team, right? You have Jarvis Landry, you have Kareem Hunt coming back, you have Nick Chubb, you have Njoku, you have that great offensive line that Cleveland always has for some reason. You have Odell Beckham Jr., you have that defense. Why wouldn't he think that they were going to win and he could say whatever he wanted? But players soon realize it's not that easy. You have to put the work in. You can't just show up on Sunday and expect to win. And that's what he thought when he had that 7 or 8 win rookie season. He thought it was easy. And he realized how easy it's not. It's not easy at all, man. And this is what makes the run of New England in the NFL one of the greatest championship runs we've ever seen. Because this is not baseball where you could pay a player however much you want to pay him, and pay everybody else however much you want to pay them. Pretty much put the best team out there because you're paying everybody to be on your team and win consistently. This is not the NBA where one player could completely take over a game. This is game after game. This is not that. This is a team effort style game. If you don't consistently play as a team, you will lose, man. This is what happens. This is what happens. And he didn't realize how everybody how everybody's work ethic was going to have to be on that level if you wanted to compete. He didn't realize that. Now he did. Now he does. And I hope it humbled him.
Around him. They're very close friends to a fault. So Baker did everything in his power to make Odell comfortable in Cleveland, Ohio. And I'm so with you, Shannon. Odell wants to be on the cover of GQ, not on the cover of the Cleveland Plain Dealer, which is a fine newspaper. But Odell's like, me? Here? No. And
that's stupid. And if he thinks that, it's stupid of him to think that. It doesn't matter. It does not matter where you are. It doesn't matter where you are. If you play well, you will get those opportunities. If you play well, if you win, you will get those chances. It's not like you can't get the chances. LeBron James in Cleveland for the Cleveland Cavaliers, I mean, he was a brand up unto himself in that small pond, that gigantic fish, and he was able to survive. He was able to get all the interviews. He was able to get all the endorsements. He was able to get all the TV spots and all this other shit. The media would flood Cleveland whenever there's a big game. It's not like they avoid those areas. It's not like that. So to think that you have to be in New York or LA or Texas or some fucking where to get some kind of coverage, that's stupid. Especially now where everybody has a damn phone. Where you literally could post yourself doing stupid shit. It doesn't matter. It's stupid to think that. And if that's the way he's thinking about it, maybe he's not as mature as I would hope that he would be after all this bullshit he's been through. But I'm not saying that's the way he's thinking. That's the way they're saying he's thinking about it. And it's retarded to think that way, especially in such an open society as we have now where everybody pretty much has access to the fucking world. It's stupid to think that you're limited in a small town. It's stupid. All right, let's go.
I agree with you, and I said it 5 times on Undisputed through the football season. I don't know what possessed Baker to think that he should do that many different. It seemed like they made 29 different variations of that progressive commercial. This is my house. I live at the stadium. It's too many. They were relentlessly run during football games. You couldn't turn on the TV during NFL season without seeing another version of This Is My House for Progressive Insurance, which, by the way, is based in Cleveland, Ohio.
If I'm not mistaken, Progressive Insurance is the one with that girl Flo, I think her name is, and it has that other weird dude like on there. It's those car insurance commercials, and they're talking about the bundle thing all the time. They have a million fucking commercials. I can't watch TV for an hour without seeing one Progressive commercial, and I'm not talking about Baker. They have a million commercial spots like every fucking week. They're always on TV. So it's not just him. Come on, bro.
And obviously the progressive executives fell in love with Baker as the world did, and certainly Cleveland.
Because Baker is charismatic. And sometimes charisma can come off as arrogant. Like when you have a certain bravado, it comes off as arrogant. But I'm not even sure if Baker is arrogant. Because when you have people telling you how great you are, when you have people telling you how good you are, how good looking you are, how photogenic you are, and all this stuff, when you have people talking you up this much, why wouldn't you start to believe it when everybody's saying it around you?
Did during his rookie year. He only went 6-7 during his rookie year, but was it not a spectacular 6 wins that he pulled off, and they were in most of the other games? So why did he regress statistically? He went from, as a rookie, he was 27 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. Last year, he was 22 to 21. Why was that? Well, he's forcing the ball to Odell to keep him happy. So obviously, they already had a go-to receiver who just 2 years before had led the NFL in catches in Jarvis Landry. Again, I know he's Odell's soulmate. I know they both played at LSU together. I know they were close friends way back in their high school days. I get that. But there's only one football, and when you have two diva-like receivers, Jarvis not quite the diva that Odell is, but still huge pride and sizable ego, it's going to be almost impossible to keep them both happy. So Odell got 133 thrown to him, while Baker threw 138 balls to Jarvis, 133 to 138. Well, Odell only cashed in on 56% of his targets. That's horrible. And that was his career low. And then all the rest of his stats are career low, career low, career low. And you could be right, Shannon. Was he nicked? Did he have something going on? I don't know.
And yeah, that's right. I wanted to say something about that. Well, how come when these players don't play well, it's always an injury? It's always an injury. That's what they said about Todd Gurley. I don't believe Todd Gurley was injured. I don't believe he had some nagging injury because he didn't have it. He doesn't. They don't talk about his injury when he has great years. Like, it wasn't too long ago that he was looked at as the best running back in the NFL. They don't talk about it then. Why talk about it now? Why keep bringing it up? I bet you if Todd Gurley has a great season in Atlanta, they're not going to talk about that nagging injury anymore. I don't believe he's injured. I've been saying this for a very long time. Todd Gurley is one of the most inconsistent running backs I've ever seen. He'll have one great, outstanding season, and then he'll drop to a non-existent season. And it always happens. It's been happening since he's been in the NFL. So, yeah.
He alluded to some leg injuries. I'm not sure what was going on, but he did not help the Browns. Maybe his heart wasn't in it, but he was getting the attention.
Maybe it was Baker. Maybe it was the fact that Freddie Kitchens wasn't fit to be a coach or a head coach. Maybe it's the fact that the system they run isn't conducive enough for a star wide receiver. And they keep saying, well, they force-fed him. If they force-fed him, his numbers should be better than what they are. Isn't that what they were saying about Antonio Brown when he was complaining? If Antonio has a 100-yard game, 2 touchdowns, and all this other stuff, he doesn't care. But if he has like 3 catches for like 30 yards or some shit like that, he has a problem. I mean, I would think that his numbers would be better. I don't know. I'm just saying. I would think his numbers would be better. But,
that he deserved. He was getting the 133 targets. He just didn't give you much bang for the bucks you were paying him. And now I look at where they're going without him. It could be great because, remember, they went out and got Austin Hooper. And he caught 75 balls last year from Matt Ryan and made his second straight Pro Bowl as a tight end. And he cashed in on 77% of his targets from Matt Ryan. So, wow, that's pretty cool that you got him as a go-to security blanket tight end.
You're talking about Austin Hooper, okay? And I'm not saying Austin Hooper's not a good tight end. But you're talking about Austin Hooper on the Atlanta Falcons on a team with Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, all these other big play receivers on that team, and you're talking about Austin Hooper like he's the guy that's gonna revive Baker Mayfield. Come on, man.
And remember, Njoku broke his wrist last year, so he was only.
You know who's gonna save Baker Mayfield? And then I'm gonna end it right here. You know who's gonna save Baker Mayfield? Baker Mayfield. You know how he can save himself? Do you know how he can save himself? By humbling himself. Realizing I'm not great like I believe I am. I have work to do. It's a process. It takes steps. And then maybe he can get there. But to throw the blame on other people like Freddie Kitchens, the front office, Odell Beckham Jr. for the way that Baker played is irresponsible. And this is what's making this kid think that it's not him, that he's not the issue. This is why he keeps calling people out. But, whatever.